Hello everybody, welcome to Reality Escape. It is the 12 Days of Quick Games, Day 7, New Year's Eve. Quick Game, Quick Thoughts is the game where I play a flash game, browser game, mobile game for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what the game is. And I give you guys my thoughts on it and I break it down. Today we are joined by Cashman.
Hey, what's up?
Cashman joined us on the first episode on day 1 of the Quick Games. Now he's with us for game 7 or 6, did I say? Whatever, put on the screen whatever day it is, you guys know. Today we played Mario Starcatcher. So Mario Starcatcher is another one of those games, I say this like every episode, that I remember playing in elementary school, and it was like Mario at home without needing a console for it. And your mind was blown when you saw this thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, like, I grew up in the era of, like, actually having to have the real version, and there was no other alternate version, and there was no free version either.
Yeah, there's no emulators. You'd have to, like, go to an arcade to play Pac-Man kind of thing. Now you can play Pac-Man on, like, any free website now.
Well, I mean, in all fairness...
You can play Pac-Man on Facebook.
We had some emulators when I was super young, but they were super choppy, and we would generally play, like, Pokemon with them, and they were still in Japanese, and that was like when I was like 12. But
yeah,
not as cool and as advanced as this stuff.
Well, and so we looked at the credits. It's made by 2 different people, and it plays like a Mario game, except there's a little bit of a puzzle aspect to it because the screen doesn't move. In that regards, it is a little bit of a... It's not like your typical gameplay. All you can do is move around and jump. You hit all the blocks. Yeah, it really is more like a puzzle game than a platformer, but it has a platforming aspects too. It's a platforming puzzle game. It's kind of like Braid or something like that.
It's a good combination of both, I'd say. It could be rage-inducing.
So the big thing to discuss is the way that you go on moving platforms. You don't attach to the platform. You have to walk with it, which is responsible for many deaths. We got to level 17, so I don't know if we're gonna go back and do the rest. I might go back and do the rest just so we have footage of it, but for the record, we got to level, I think, 17 or 18 or something like that.
In all fairness, it was all your boy here. He dominated.
Well, it's one of those games where it's meant to like make you try again and again and again. They don't give you the continues, they don't give you the redos. They give you a chance to get extra lives, which is nice, but when you say rage-inducing, that's a perfect way to put it, because there's a lot of things where you die and you go, well, that wasn't my fault. That was the game messing up. The game did something wrong.
I think that was definitely more synonymous with the games I grew up with, and that's why I think this game is pretty unique, because it really does give you that once you run out of lives, it's over. You ain't continuing from where you left off. There's no checkpoints. You're going back to square one.
And it's really interesting too. So we've talked about before, if you watched our Zelda Lampshade episode, how it's a game that you can't really make anymore. And I would say that you can't really, you can, but you can. Because the modding community, there are so many Super Mario 64 mods, Super Mario, like, the NES World mods or whatever, emulators, you can make your own levels, and now we have Mario Maker on the Switch. This is a precursor to all of that. Someone took the sprites, they figured out the coding for it, and they made their own little unique Mario adventure. Is it as good as the other ones? Well, no. The screen doesn't move, you can't kill the enemies, there's no fireballs, but it's actually a really cool, unique take on it. And, you know, if the controls were a little less rage-inducing, it'd be a little bit nicer. But for what it is, it's like a relic of the internet past, and it just shows that if a company, well, I don't want to say if a company lets you, because Nintendo definitely didn't let this person use their IP, but if you're interested in game design, kind of like how if you're interested in learning how to write, then you take 2 characters that you already know, then you write about them, kind of like a fan fiction. It gets you into that world. In this case, this person clearly had a coding knowledge. They knew how to do things. They knew how to do level design. This is good level design. This isn't like amateur level design. This person knew what they were doing when it came to how to create a compelling end level that flows through and flows well and everything. And they just didn't have the idea on how to make it. This could have become another Flash game with no name attached. Would have gotten no clicks, and that would have been it. But they used the Mario name, and it was pretty popular back in the day.
I can totally see why, and it is pretty smart to use that as your vehicle, because even if it was his own original idea, like you said, without that that notoriety or that instant, like, oh, I know what that is, maybe a lot of people wouldn't be clicking on it.
And it's one of those games where there's no learning curve to it. I mean, there's a little bit to get used to the controls, but if you see Mario and stars, you know Mario has to get the stars, and that's just how the game's going to go.
Yeah, they make it pretty straightforward what you're doing, and I was pretty impressed by it, actually, as well.
It's like Mario and gameplay is very synonymous with each other. It's like you understand right away how it works. There's not a lot of gameplay mechanics to break down, really, though. The way that the game uses things is very clever. It's almost like if you've ever played like some of those like 2D Portal maps before, it kind of give you that little vibe of, okay, what am I supposed to do? And then do you have the skill to pull it off? A little bit more danger here. And there was a point where we had gotten to the ending and I messed a jump up, and then it's like, okay, I think I have to kill myself here because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where some of the charm is, in a way. It's like, okay, well, they didn't get that far to give you an out like most other games do. It's like, yeah, this is it. You've reached the end of your rope.
and maybe there was a way and I just didn't find it, which is
true.
Also completely possible. It just shows that when people are inspired by something to make their own version, they can learn from just looking at what inspires them. I don't know if this person went to school for coding or gaming, or if they just picked it up on their own. I don't know if they went to school for level design, although back in the early 2000s, I don't think there was school for level design.
No, this was all learning from probably a community of just passing back and forth.
Yeah, probably had their friends play the game and stuff. It said that there was 2 people that worked on it, and then one person was responsible for level 17, which is, I think, the one that we died on the most. So thanks, guy.
Kudos,
or girl.
Man.
But it's just fascinating that you can find a full game like this online. And when you think about Flash games, a lot of people assume they're easy, but we went through like 4 full playthroughs and couldn't beat it.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if we were still in the old throws, like I was more playing these kind of games more consistently, I probably would have the edge. But this is like an older style platformer that I'm not used to anymore.
Yeah, that's true. It's like really with games like Mario Maker, that's what's bringing them back. But before that, it is a dying art, I guess, right? Especially 2D platformer. I mean, I guess a lot of people can do their own. And there are, like Super Meat Boy was a game that you brought up while we were playing it, where it's an own IP, but you take a risk on that. And with a Flash game where there was, I don't know when this was made exactly, but there's like dozens and dozens and dozens of these games, you need to have something eye-catching, right? Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you could find probably the entire original Mario game on a Flash site or an emulator that would be pretty easy to download. Easily. But this is like a good alternative. It's unique. There are levels that you've never seen before because they were made just for this. And it felt like Mario. I mean, they just used like a looping soundtrack, but most of the Flash games just kind of did that. Once again, a game that would not be able to exist nowadays because it would be struck down by copyright. You wouldn't be able to make money off of this. And I know with Nintendo, a lot of times they know the modding community exists, but a lot of times they will shut down projects entirely or trailers for mods and stuff because you're messing with their intellectual property. But I thought that this person honored the Mario name well. It felt like Mario.
I would totally agree. You can tell this was a labor of love. This was a love letter to the original games, and I think, like you were saying before, it's like this person probably obviously grew up with this, and it was like, I'm going to pay homage to it. Like, why not?
And this is one of those times where I'm really curious, and I could probably find it with research, but I don't remember the name, and it's like the username, so it's not a real name. Is this person working in games right now? Is this something that they showed off to people and said, like, look, I can do this, I can make a game, and then they went and joined the industry. Other thing, too, is that we live in a world now with YouTube and stuff where you can see how many people viewed your thing, but this game was embedded on a ton of different websites. No idea how many people ever played this game. This person might not actually, I'm sure they know their game is popular, but they'll never actually know the real numbers that touch the game. There's also an offline version you can just straight up download and play too, which I thought was a neat touch for people who wanted that little bit extra just in case for some reason the Flash, not saying the Flash version wasn't enough, but if they liked the game enough to play it offline, or they wanted the better quality graphics or something, I think it's a cool little...
Maybe that was the incentive to count how many people are into your game as well. You can go by downloads.
Yeah, possibly, if there's a way to track that. I don't know.
Like I said, I really like the idea of you inquiring, I wonder where this guy is, a guy or girl, whoever it is. Hopefully they are working in the industry. I think that'd be kind of cool. This would be a good resume for any game developer out there. You know, make something similar like this. I mean, don't get sued, but you know, make your own thing, but pay homage where those old games were so good.
I think it also speaks to back then when you were making Flash games. Thanks for turning on my Xbox by leaning on it. I mean, there was no chance whatsoever to get any kind of revenue from this. I mean, you might get like ad money if you have your own website, but even then, like putting Google ads and AdSense and stuff, that's a fairly new thing. So if you were making this, it really was a labor of love, right? There wasn't Patreon, and nowadays this would be on Steam for like $4.
Exactly. I think that's why
it's admirable.
It was so much more magical, because like you could tell that they put that much work into it. And it was just to share it for free too. That's just so cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that this got passed around. I hope that whoever this person is, that they're doing something they at least enjoy, if not in video games. I don't think there's too much more to say beyond that. There's not a lot of controls or anything to break down into. The level design is good. It's a little bit rage-inducing. Would I like an easy mode where I could save wherever I wanted to or have unlimited lives? Absolutely, but that's not the culture of the game. The game is to get you angry, and I think it worked. I'm pretty upset right now. My right ring finger is a little sore from mashing that right button. There's a lot of these little jumps where you have to face one direction and then jump up and kind of jump into the ledges and stuff, and I got stuck there for a while, so not too fond about those. Otherwise though, I think it executed everything it meant to well. I think that the only downside would be those platforms, but it does add a bit of challenge to it. It's a little bit like a nostalgic challenge. It's like, oh, the gameplay isn't quite what you want it to be, and you have to compensate for that.
Yeah, you got to make the best of what the tools you're given, and it makes you a better player. And I mean, back then, let's say you were a kid, you didn't have a lot of options. This was a game that you played all the time. You get pretty good at it.
Yeah, there's probably a speedrun for this. I'd be curious to see what it looks like and see what someone who's really good at this game, how they play it. Well, Cashman, thank you for joining us for this episode of Quick Game, Quick Thoughts. This has been day 6 or 7, whichever, because we're filming all of these in advance. It's like early December right now, so I have no idea. But, as usual, if you have a game that you want me to play, let me know in the comments down below. Comment links, you can tweet at me, you can tweet at Cashman, at RECashman. All the links are down in the description. And we're going to keep this train rolling. There is a video coming out in a couple of hours, and it's kind of my year-end wrap-up, where I'm basically going to talk about what the channel was like for me this year, each video that I uploaded outside of these little shorter ones, and just kind of tell you guys, give you an update on what's happening for next year. So if you're interested in what's happening for next year with this channel specifically, all you have to do is watch like the first 10 minutes of that. Then after that, you don't have to watch. But I update you guys in the first 10 minutes of what the channel is going to look like in the next year. So feel free to watch that. Have another episode tomorrow, plus a cool little announcement thing that I'm announcing tomorrow. And if you're watching this on New Year's Eve, please have a safe and happy New Year's. Don't do anything stupid. And come back tomorrow and check out the new stuff if you're not too hungover, if you're of legal drinking age, and if you're not, please don't drink underage. And that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.